In this tutorial, we will learn how to create a tornado in Blender, and we'll use Blender's particle physics for this, which is a very powerful feature. You can also download the blend file if you are a member of this channel. So let's get started with a brand new scene in Blender, and first we'll delete this default cube as usual. Then we'll go to the Add menu and add a cylinder to this scene. This cylinder will be used as the source of the particles, but we want the particles to emit only in the lateral directions, or from these sides, no particles from the top or the bottom surface. So let's first go to the Edit mode and enable the Face Selection mode as well. Then select the top and the bottom surface of the cylinder with the Shift key, and then hit X to bring this menu and delete them from here. So we get a hollow pipe without any cover. Now we can go back to the Object mode. We'll convert it into a very small object. So in the Object Properties, let's scale it down from here. Then go to the Particles tab and create a new particle system for this cylinder. We can customize this particle system from here, so we'll first change this number to say 10,000, or you can increase it even further. Then let's run this particle system up to frame number 500, and when we do that, we have to also extend our composition to 500. Then let's set the lifetime of the particles to 200, controls how long each particle will remain alive. Now, under the velocity section, we need to reduce this normal velocity to a very low value, like 0.01. This is the velocity at which the particles will emit from this source object. And all other fields under the velocity section should be 0, as we don't need them. Now in the viewport section, let's change the display size of these particles for the viewport. If we then run this, we'll see that the particles are falling down with a great force under the effect of gravity. But we don't need this. We need to control the particles with a different type of force. So in the field weight section, let's disable the gravity force completely, and instead of this, we have to go to the Add menu and add a force field, which is of type vortex. It will create a swirling movement for the particles that are generated here, and its settings can be found in this Physics tab. The location and the rotation field should be enabled, and the strength can be just kept as 1. Then we need to change this inflow field, but we want the particles to spill out or scatter like this when they are gyrated. So we have to use a negative value in this inward field to create an outward movement. This time the particles won't fall down, they'll spiral around the center due to the vortex force. It looks beautiful. In fact, you can also create an animation for a galaxy. Now, we don't want the particles to just spiral like this. We want them to also move up, so we need another force here to push them in the upward direction. It's best done by gravity, so select the cylinder which has our particle system and then scroll down to the end of this section. We'll add some gravity, but negative in value, and a very small value which will give us a small upward force, as it is negative. This time the particles will move up, while they also spiral under the vortex force, so we'll get a combined effect. But if it spreads out too much, we need to control our force field. So let's again select the vortex force, and we need to go to the Physics tab. We can control the spread using this inward field. Let's make it -0.8. Even a small change in the force field can lead to a big difference. Particles are very sensitive to a force field. So we can see that it looks almost perfect, but remember that in our demo, we saw some additional particles as shown in the red color here. They create a better sense of the tornado movement. So back to our blend file, we'll go to the first frame, and we need to add a Bezier curve for those special particles. We have to also edit this default curve, so let's go to the Edit mode, and then press 7 on the number pad to go to the top view. We have to move these handles as suitable to give it the shape of a flat arc, and it should roughly match the curvature of the tornado, but no need to be very perfect here. Now back to the Object mode, we have to rotate this arc so that it is pointed toward the positive x-axis. So let's go to the Object Properties and change the Z rotation to -90, and we need to also apply this transformation or the rotation value from here. Now, once it's ready, we can hide this curve object because we won't display it directly. Then select the source object of our particles, and in the Particles tab, we have to add one more particle system. And for this new one, we have to change the end frame number and the lifetime values, just like the first particle system. Then under Physics, we have to change the physics type to Boyds. Then expand the movement section and change the value of this max airspeed to 0.1. We'll reduce all other values to 0, or you can experiment with them if you wish. Finally, in the Render section, we have to change this from Halo to the Object option. Then in this Object field, we'll select the Bezier curve, which we created earlier. And we have to use this effector collection to specify the force field. We have this vortex force, which should affect only the first particle system. It should not affect the particles created by the other one. So we have to first create a new collection here, and let's call it Force 1 because it will affect only the first particle system, and then we have to move the vortex force here. Then let's create one more collection, and we can call it Force 2, which will affect only the second particle system. Now under the second force collection, we'll first add a wind force, so let's add it from here. And in its settings, in the Physics tab, we have to reduce the wind strength, maybe to 0.1, as the Boyd particles are very sensitive. Then we have to add a second vortex force for these Boyd particles. The strength value can be the same as before, but we have to change this inflow to -2.5, and it should affect only the location, not the rotation. So we have grouped our force fields into two such collections. Now select the source object for our particles and go to the Particles tab. For the first particle system, we'll select the first force collection, or Force 1, in the effector collection. Then similarly for the second particle system, we have to select the second force collection, or Force 2. So the two sets of particles will be affected exclusively by their own force systems, without any overlap or any conflict. Please remember that you may need to change these forces as suitable for your scene. There are no fixed rules. So we have two different types of particles, and it gives the tornado effect exactly as we want it. Now we can add some materials, some suitable background and other things, and then render the scene. Also, instead of these simple particles, you can use instances of random objects like leaves and create a more photogenic tornado as we see in reality. So I hope you like this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel.